Let's go over to Major League Baseball tonight for some spread lines here. And how about this? Congratulations to the boys opening the week in style with a 2-0 night last night. That's how it's planned out. And the game I love, Joe, over 8.5 runs, absolutely blew it out of the park last night between Arizona and Baltimore. So let's go back to the Charm City for this one. Arizona's going to have Kelly on the mound going up against Rogers. And if we take a look at this line across the board, opened up overnight around a minus 148 price as a favorite towards Baltimore. We now sit around minus 145 to minus 150, depending on where you're shopping at, and a total, Joe, of 8.5 once again as the runs. Give me a look tonight between Arizona and Baltimore for a nice little spread line.
Well, it was a beautiful day there yesterday. The O's, the bats for both teams started going. You're not going. If you saw, I hope you bought tickets to that game last night, because if you want runs in this one, they may not be coming. Rogers on the mound for Baltimore just absolutely has been once again lights out. He's one of the most underrated starting pitchers in the American League that nobody talks about. The problem is Merrill Kelly, this is his first start this year, coming off finally off of some back issues here. Didn't pitch much in spring training, so this is the first crack we're going to see in him, and he's no spring chicken. So what are we going to get from Merrill Kelly is the question. The answer, I don't know. Wouldn't shock me if the O's get some runs off of him. I'm not sure the Diamondbacks are hitting Rogers. They hit lefties better than righties. But this guy he's pitching on another level right now. You got to like the O's chances.
85 degrees at first pitch tonight in Baltimore. Heat wave on the East Coast. Let's head out to the Motor City. That's the Detroit Tigers at home to host the Kansas City Royals. Battle of lefties on the mound. Framber Valdez taking on Cole Ragans. The total across the board listed at 7.5. But an increase here in the line overnight. Valdez was around a minus 115 price point. He's up to minus 125 or so, depending on where you're shopping at. We got spread lines tonight to deal with, Joe. Kansas City and Detroit.
Well, big battle here for the Central, but two guys, Donnie, that have gotten lit up here in a couple of starts so far early in the season here. These ERAs are through the roof, but both guys are better than this. But Kansas City wins games, but it's not like they're crushing the ball yet. Detroit has. I kind of like the under. I think both these pitchers now heading into their fourth starts in the season, I think both of these guys here fine-tuning and getting ready to dominate these lineups.
How about a nice little six-pack there for those Mets? Like, hey, we'll enjoy a couple little beverages here. No, how about a six-pack of losses and still in Los Angeles? Got shut out last night, only had 3 hits. They're going to face Yamamoto tonight. Congratulations. Now, McLean's going to be on the mound, so you think it's going to be a competitive game. That's not what the odds makers are talking about, Joe. Take a look at this graphic. Minus 200 for those Los Angeles Dodgers at home and a total of 7.5. What's the spread line out there in L.A. tonight?
Yeah, already up 10 cents from the overnight line there, Donnie. Listen, the Mets can't hit, and it's not getting better at all here. It wasn't good. It wasn't a great spot for them to have to fly all the way out west and take on the Dodgers. It's even worse spot tonight that Yamamoto's on the mound. Feels like a team total under for the Mets, Donnie. I don't know why we'd be looking at anything else at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The Dodgers just rolling over the Mets. Is the Mets going to have a 10-game losing streak to start the season? It could be, people. Hey, Major League Baseball. Yes, my Philadelphia Phillies had 13 runs last night. They scored in more than one inning, which, by the way, they scored 3 in 3 innings out of their previous 40-plus innings before last night's game against the Chicago Cubs, and they picked up a victory here. But I don't need to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies right now. I want to talk about those New York Mets on a 6-game losing streak, but they find new ways to find revenue streams out of nowhere. Hear me out on this, Joe, right? How about this? A new elite ballpark snack has emerged. The Mets are selling mini buckets of pickle chips for $5 at Citi Field. Now, when I was growing up, I should say, in the 80s and 90s, you would go to the ballpark, and if you wanted pickles, you got as many as you wanted to. If you went on your burger, on your hot dog, or whatever you wanted, you just went over there, grabbed them up, put them on your plate or your little, styrofoam thing, and walked back to your seat and ate those. So now the Mets are like, you want pickles? You got them. $5.
How many pickle chips are in that damn?
Probably
what?
3. Probably 3.
I was going to say, Donnie, for $5, how many pickle chips do you give me? Like 2.5, and one of them's half eaten? Like what? No. But hey, listen, there's got to be. I guess you try anything at that point. Since you're not winning games and not scoring runs, you might as well feed people pickles in the stands, I guess, Donnie.
And by the way, it's $5. So what do you say next year? That's $9.99 and then $14.99 and then $22.99 for pickle chips at this point. And then they say, hey, this Horman's original pickle chips, they're too expensive. We're going to make our own cheaper brand of Mets kosher pickles, and that's $29.99 by the time we get to 2030 at this point. Another way to make money off the people, charging for pickle chips. Say it ain't so, it is. But by the way, another New York team played last night, and they actually won their baseball game 11-10 here. Let's hear what Boone has to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel like good to win a game like that, where the offense really breaks out and has a ton of really good at-bats. We could have had more there early. Rosie smokes the ball there with the bases loaded. Grichuk hits the ball maybe going out to center. So there's just a lot of really good at-bats. And credit to them, too, because they threw a ton of really good at-bats to get back in it all night. It felt like with 2 strikes, 2 outs, just a ton of really good at-bats, especially on a night where I thought Will Warren, and stuff-wise, was pretty electric. And they just put some really tough at-bats on him. But just some big-time at-bats to allow us to pull that one out.
How about that, Joe? We got to win a game somehow here. 11-10, couple home runs from Trout, couple home runs from Aaron Judge. It is nice to finally get a victory here. That would have been interesting. 2 teams in New York with 6-game losing streaks, with the Yanks get the win last night.
Yeah, I'm watching that game last night, Donnie, and all I'm thinking is, man, what if Trout was a Yankee? And if that guy would have stayed somewhat healthy, Donnie, I can't imagine the wreck. I mean, the guy, even still at this point, is just it's unbelievable. And it's a shame, too. It'll go down as the one guy that just could have been the greatest of all time, but just could not stay healthy.
Exactly. Talking about staying healthy, here's a couple of hamstring injuries that you're going to want to worry about. The Houston Astros, they're going to lose Jeremy Peña to a hamstring strain. And how about this? Ime comes over and he's got right arm fatigue. It's April. We're not even in August or September, and dude's already fatigued.
Amazing, right? There's a handful of teams, Donnie, where, the injuries have piled up and there's some head scratching going on right now. Toronto's another one of these teams. We got some issues in Major League Baseball, but it feels like we've got that all the time, though, don't we? Every year, right around this, we're always scratching our head going, how is a guy, how is the guy's arm fatigued already, and we're only, 3 starts into the season? It's amazing.
Let's have some fun with this one, too. We just talked about Luka Doncic. Oh, look at that hamstring injury. Falls down on the court. Oh, my goodness, devastation. Let me go over to Europe, and in about a week, I'll be ready to play again. That's not how hamstrings works here, because why? Take a look at the Milwaukee Brewers, who you saw their manager going hey, there's fluid back there. He tweaked it. We'll find out. And what did I say, Joe? You ain't going to see him for weeks. Exactly correct. He's out up to a month here with that hamstring injury. Athletes don't understand hamstring injuries. Doctors do, and it takes a long time to heal.
Yeah, it's not good. And you think, being a trainer of some sort, Donnie, you would think that you'd figure out some sort of routine for these players where they're not jacking their hamstrings in the first month of the season every year. You would think somebody would be able to figure that one out, but apparently not yet.
They can't do it yet here. And also, we haven't figured out sometimes what causes elbow injuries, because apparently now, if you pitch 101 pitches, your arm will fall off. If you pitch 99, you should be healthy for the season. Not the case for Nick Pivetta. Elbow injury, a concerning development here for those Padres.
Yeah, it is concerning here in the Padres with the starting pitching. Again, issues here. But if we're being honest here, they got quite the bullpen. I don't know how many people thought the Padres were really contending for the West anyway this year, but they're going to have to go figure out some starting pitching here. Can they keep King healthy? I mean, they can't get Musgrove back. So, not great for the Padres right now.
Let me ask you a question with pitching, Joe, which I never understood this, too. You have a pitch count in Major League Baseball that they use, and they just came up with that arbitrary number of 100. Can't go over 100 pitches because, again, the 101, your arm falls off, 99, you're completely healthy. But why do we have the 10 or so warm-up pitches between innings? So, in effect, Joe, are they throwing 200 pitches a night? And, they start a bullpen session before the game. So, the pitchers actually pitch 300 pitches a game, Joe?
Yeah, Donnie, all of these injuries, as far as I'm concerned, have very little to do with what they do on the major league level. all of these injuries are an accumulation of what they did on their way to Major League Baseball.
Correct.
That's what that is, Donnie. It ain't what they're doing in Major League Baseball. It's what they did on the way up that's causing these arm injuries.
Remember those devastating curveballs from the 9-year-old pitchers out there that pitched every third day? There you go, people. That starts here. By the way, Edwin Diaz, who went over from the New York Mets to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Well, how about this? Does somebody have a phone over to Cooperstown directly? Because look at this quote. The Dodgers told me, and this is Edwin Diaz speaking, if I came to Los Angeles and we have the chance to sign you, we will make you a Hall of Famer. How's that possible? What happens if he stinks? He's still going to be a Hall of Famer?
Well, if I'm him, a little less on the headgear and the hats guy, and figure out why it is you're 3 miles an hour less in velocity, because that's going to be a problem moving forward here. That's what the Dodgers should want to figure out is, why is this guy lost 3 miles an hour on his fastball? That's a problem.
How about this, Joe? You know what else is a problem? Hey, you're playing in Kansas City. It's really a pitcher's ballpark, but we get some heat and humidity in the summer. You can hit home runs, but this field isn't really valuable to a home run hitter because the fences are high and they're really deep. So what do? Let's lower the fences. Let's move them in here. We'll score a lot more runs. And when did Bobby Witt Jr. become a Philadelphia Philly? Because look at this stat. Bobby Witt Jr. has reached base 30 times this season and left stranded 29 times. What are we doing, Kansas City? Drive the man home.
Yeah, well, what they're not doing is hitting with runners in scoring position. That's what they're not doing, Donnie, and that is a problem. But doesn't it feel like that's the story of It's been that way with Kansas City.
Yep.
They're not a home run or bust. Everyone thought moving move them in, they'll be fine. They'll hit home run. No, they're not hitting home runs either.
By the way, who wants to win a Cy Young there in Boston? It certainly isn't Garrett Crochet and his 7.58 ERA. He got torched last night against the Twins. Let's hear from him right now. Ooch.
I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, command as a whole has been spotty. Gotten away with it a little this early in the year, but tonight they made me pay. It was weak contact, hard contact, walks, hit by pitch, a little bit of everything.
You've never had a night like that in your career. How kind of just almost strange was it to just go through that?
It's tough. I guess. I mean, I don't really have anything to say there. I'm just going to flush it. I mean, as best I can, move on to the next one. They had a good approach.
Look at that, Garrett Crochet. All that hype there for the Boston Red Sox not working out all that well. It's Major League Baseball time. Start to step it up because you know what? Hitting weather is here, Crochet. That might not be a good thing for you. We'll be right back right here on the early line. It's a Tuesday right here on the early line. Heating up on the East Coast here. Love to see it. Some baseball teams scoring a ton of runs in Baltimore, in Philadelphia, in New York. Just the way we like it here. I'm Donnie Rightside along with Joe Raineri. We're going to bring in George Kurtz here to talk a little Yankees and much more. George, how we feeling on this Tuesday morning?
You know, guys, I think my favorite sports time of the year is probably October, right? Football is in swing here. Baseball playoffs, NHL is beginning. But this time in April is a pretty close second, right? Baseball, NHL playoffs start Saturday. NFL draft in about 10 days. Pretty fun time of the year.
By the way, George, last night we were watching two New York teams that were on the cusp of 6-game losing streaks apiece until the bottom of the ninth inning with the Yankees having a big-time comeback, pulling out the victory over Los Angeles. How do we feel about the Yankees? We just had a video clip played with Boone talking about how it finally feels to get a win after 5 of those. Sometimes you just need to get off the schneid to get that season started here. The Yankees avoided that 6-game losing streak.
It's sort of what we're wondering now, right? The 11-run explosion last night, and they would have scored more if the inning would have went on, right? They would have had first and third, nobody out there. Is it a sign of things to come? Warmer weather here in New York, as you know, Donnie. So all of a sudden, Judge hits a couple of home runs, right? Grisham hits a couple of home runs. Well, that helped the Yankee bats because their slugging was 25th in Major League Baseball. Certainly not the Yankees. So we'll see if the warmer weather is a sign of things to come. We'll find out tonight against the Angels. I might have a little bit of my doubts here, but the Yankees may be playing some high-scoring games, guys. All right, the starting pitcher looks good. That bullpen does not.
Honestly, the Yankees, we knew, George, at some point, as long as they stayed healthy, they're going to score enough. They're going to score runs. Let's face it. It's the pitching that I was a little more worried about here, but we know reinforcements are coming. The Mets just look helpless to me. So is Soto that important to the Mets? I mean, I thought they got Bichette. They got all these other guys that this was you could weather the storm. They're not weathering anything here, George. They're a mess.
Well, let's be fair. Losing Soto would hurt any team. Maybe not the Dodgers, but it would hurt any other team, right? But all right, this is taking it to an extreme. Isn't Lindor a superstar, guys? All right. I mean, you have Lindor. Yep. You mentioned Bichette. You paid him a ton of money, right? Stole him from Philadelphia. All right. And you got other players. Alvarez can hit somewhat here. You bring in Semien, right? Because he was going to help. So it's getting late early here for the Mets because all the Met fans, all they're seeing is last year again, right? Where they collapsed last year, they fell apart. They're seeing it again. I thought they would hit. I didn't think that was going to be a problem. I thought the pitching was going to be more the issue, and that's rearing its ugly head as well. Mets have a lot of problems here. Luckily for them, I don't think anyone's going to run away in the National League East, all right? The Braves have all sorts of pitching problems, all right? And Philadelphia's an older team, all right? So I think they can wear down as the season goes on here. We'll see what Zach Wheeler, who might return to the Phillies, can be this weekend as well. If he's an ace again, all right, Phillies may be that favorite. If not, Philly's going to have some pitching problems as well.
Yeah, I agree with you as well, George. That NL East is going to be up and down all season long. And also, if you're the Mets, 6-game losing streak, we'll pick up a couple wins against Colorado. You're back in L.A. tonight going up against Yamamoto, and a -200 favorite are the Los Angeles Dodgers. Even with McClain on the mound for the Mets tonight, something to watch, Joe. I'm actually going to go with a team total. So let's keep it in Major League Baseball. It's the Houston Astros team total over 4.5 runs at a -120 price. The Astros got to score 5 runs. Here's what we like. Colorado Rockies, not a great pitching staff as a whole, not a great starter on the mound tonight. It's Michael Lorenzen. Through his 75 batters in this early Major League Baseball season, Joe, how about a 209 ISO power number against, which is elevated? How about a weighted on base percentage at a ridiculous clip of 448? And how about a K percentage of only 13%, which means hard hit balls are in play and teams are scoring runs. Then we take a look at the lineup for the Houston Astros tonight. Anticipated in their first starting 9, Yanyer Diaz, not great statistics here. Isaac Paredes, not great statistics. But everybody else anticipated 7+ batters with weighted on pace percentage and also a team that doesn't strike out a lot. So let's couple that with a pitcher who isn't very good, who doesn't strike out batters, to a team that's absolutely crushing right-handed pitching and doesn't strike out. That sounds, Joe, like runs tonight down in Houston. Give me the Astros team total over 4.5 runs.
Yeah, I like that. It's the one thing that they've done well here is put the ball in play, and I expect there to be some runs in that game as well there, Donnie. So jack it up here.
Let's go, Houston. Bang on those trash cans. Get the boys a winner tonight. Let's go 2-0 again. The predicted markets are up next. Arizona and Baltimore, not in the NBA, in Major League Baseball. Last night I told you we'd get a lot of runs down there in Baltimore. They did score a lot of runs. Today, Joe, Baltimore, once again the favorite, currently trading at a 56% chance to win this game, but a 58-cent margin here if you want to take the yes contract on them winning. A $100 investment, Joe, pays back $173. Arizona and Baltimore today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's Merrill Kelly, his first start of the year. He's had some back issues and, wasn't there in spring training, and now he's about to make his season debut. In the meantime, you got one of the best left-handed starters in the league that nobody really talks about, and Trevor Rogers going for the O's. The guy has been absolutely phenomenal, and I think he's got the edge in this one here. Baltimore starting to hit warm weather. I think Arizona, by the way, also hits lefties better than righties, but I don't think it's going to matter here. I think Baltimore has a big starting pitching advantage, and maybe Baltimore team total over, Donnie, would be the way I would look at this game. I think they can get to Merrill Kelly before Arizona gets to Rogers.
Slugged it out last night. If you want to take a look at the K props here, what you can do on the Kalshi marketplace, Trevor Rogers to record 5 or more strikeouts, currently trading at 47 cents, which means a $100 investment, Joe, would pay back $213. Let's go over to Detroit here. Kansas City is going to take on the Detroit Tigers. Currently in this game on Kalshi, a 52% chance to win this game. That's the Detroit Tigers as the favorite here. But currently the contract would be listed at 54 cents, which means a $100 investment would pay back $186 if the slightly favored Detroit Tigers can win this game. If you're looking at the run line here, Detroit to win by 2 or more runs, which basically is over the 1.5, a $100 investment will be paid back $278 on Detroit. Royals and the Tigers tonight, Joe.
Well, the question is which Framber Valdez shows up here
Yes, true.
tonight, Donnie? Is it the one that actually in the first couple of starts, 1 run, I think he gave up in his first couple of starts, but then the past Wednesday, Minnesota just lit him up there, 8 runs and 10 hits in 5 innings. That not good, but apparently Minnesota's doing that to a lot of teams this day. And Ragans also was removed, I believe, in his last outing against the Guardians because he took a Ramirez liner off the left hand, but he appears to be okay. I got to believe both these pitchers will bring their A game here in a division rivalry. Feels like an under is not a bad look here, and certainly I don't trust Kansas City's offense to do anything here except maybe win a 2-1, 3-2 kind of game.
Bobby Witt's maybe the only guy you can trust in that lineup here. He gets on base, and just don't drive him home. If you look at the player props market, Joe, hits, runs, and RBIs, 2 or more listed for Bobby Witt Jr., currently trading at 55 cents, which means a $100 investment would pay back 182, which means 2 base hits, he gets it done. How about a base hit and a run score, he gets it done? Heavens, a home run. That's already done right off the bat here. Different ways, or even driving in a run if he has to do it himself. That can certainly pay dividends here. New York Mets at the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Mets have lost 6 straight games. Yamamoto's on the mound tonight, which means the Dodgers are a favorite once again on the Kalshi marketplace, currently trading at a 64% chance to win this game. If you feel like you want to take the Dodgers here and just take them and say they're going to win, I don't want to worry about anything else, Joe, a $100 investment pays back 152. Or do you feel the upset-minded Mets after 6 straight losses can beat Yamamoto? By the way, McLean's on the mound here for those Mets.
Like it. It feels like an under game, Donnie. I think McLean can certainly do a good enough job there to kind of limit the damage. But
yeah,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't want to catch a falling knife, and that's exactly what the Mets are. Mets team totals under for me, especially against front-end starters like Yamamoto here. It feels like this is not the game I expect that lineup to bounce out on. I think fewer runs than more runs for the Mets.